I'm Ashley Taylor, and today I wanted to spend a little time talking about something that we often overlook, which is sunscreen and tanning beds. This is important when discussing all of the risks that come with not using sunscreen as well as tanning beds, as both can lead to increasing your risk for skin cancer. To start, cancer. Skin cancer is the most common form of cancer in the United States, according to the CDC, but it is also the most preventable because sun exposure is a major factor in its growth. Exposure to ultraviolet radiation is a major risk for most skin cancers. Sunlight is the main source of UV rays. According to cancerquest.org, the foremost cause of skin cancer still remains UV radiation from sunlight. However, this disease, clinically seen in older adults, is becoming increasingly common in younger populations due to the use of tanning beds and exposure to other cancer-causing elements. It is estimated that one person dies of melanoma every 54 minutes. An estimated 87,000 new cases of invasive melanoma will be diagnosed in 2017, and an estimated 9,730 people will die of melanoma in 2017. Just to touch on UV radiation, there are three main types of UV rays that are emitted from the sun. Only two are known to be linked to cancer. And those two types are UVA and UVB rays. UVA rays age skin cells and can cause damage to the DNA. These rays are linked to long-term cancers. As an example, tanning beds give off a large amount of UVA radiation, which has been found to increase skin cancers. According to skincancer.org, individuals who have used tanning beds 10 times or more in their lives have a 34% increased risk of developing melanoma compared to those who have never used tanning beds. Secondly, people who first used tanning beds before the age of 35 increased their risk for melanoma by 75%. UVB rays have slightly more energy than UVA rays, and this can damage the skin's DNA directly. They are also thought to cause most skin cancers. UVB is the chief cause of skin reddening and sunburn that you experience. Here are a few important facts about UV rays. UV rays are stronger during spring and summer months, ranging from April to mid-October. UV exposure goes down as you get further from the equator, and more UV rays reach the ground at higher elevation. For example, at higher altitudes, a thinner atmosphere filters less UV radiation. With every 1,000 meters increase in altitude, UV levels increase by 10 to 12%. No use of sunscreen, protective clothing, hats, or use of shades can allow more intense UVB light exposure, which can further damage your unprotected skin. Cloud coverage can also affect the amount of UV exposure. Sometimes cloud cover blocks the UV from the sun, blocks UV from the sun and lowers UV exposure, while some types of clouds can reflect UVs and can increase UV exposure. Reflection off surfaces can cause UV rays to bounce off of surfaces like water, sand, snow, pavement, and gravel, leading to increase in UV exposure. Here are some ways to reduce skin cancer occurrences. Stay in the shade, especially during midday hours, and an example you could do is sit under a tree rather than sitting in direct sunlight. Wear clothing that covers your arms and legs, like long sleeves and pants, although it might be uncomfortable in the heat. Wear a hat with a wide brim to protect your face, as well as sunglasses to protect your eyes. You could also use sunscreen with a protection factor or SPF of 15 or higher, and those protect both UVA and UVB. And most importantly, avoid indoor tanning. Just a little information on indoor tanning or tanning beds. First, using a tanning bed to get a tan exposes you to UV rays. It can also expose you to skin cancers, including melanoma, basal cell carcinoma, and squamous cell carcinoma. UV exposure can also cause cataracts and cancers of the eye. A little bit more on tanning beds. They're also known to cause premature skin aging, like wrinkles and age spots, sometimes referred to as photoaging or premature. Premature aging is the result of unprotected UV exposure. It takes the form of leathery or wrinkled skin and dark spots. Now to touch on sunscreen a bit. Sunscreen is a cream or lotion rubbed onto the skin to protect it from the sun's rays. Now there are many different types of SPFs available. I'm sure you see 15, 30, 45, even 50, but most people don't know the differences. The most common SPFs are easily accessible are 15, 30, and 45. Now, it's logical for someone to think that an SPF of 30 is twice as good as 15. However, this is not the case. Um, an SPF of 15 blocks about 94% of UVB rays, and an SPF of 30 blocks about 97, and 45 blocks about 98%. Sunscreens with a higher SPF rating block slightly more UVB rays, but no sunscreen offers 100% protection. You also must reapply sunscreen to ensure that there's adequate amount of sunscreen to protect your skin at all times. You also need to reapply approximately every 2 hours or after swimming or sweating excessively, according to the bottle. Now, this is important, especially for young kids and young teens. We often forget to reapply after we go into the ocean or go in the pool, or even just being outside playing basketball with your neighbors and stuff like that. It's definitely very important to reapply as often as possible. And it is also recommended that you use at least an SPF of 30 to protect yourself. Now, I know I spent a lot of time talking to you and advocating for sunscreen use and reducing your exposure to UV radiation. And I also threw out a ton of information and facts, but I just want everyone to take away that it is super important that sunscreen and limited use of tanning beds are two of the easiest ways to dramatically reduce your risk for developing skin cancer. Thank you.